and I'll never back down. In the middle of the ring is where I lay the smack down. Against all odds, I will always prevail. So when you step to me, it's like hell in a cell.
Alright guys, Delzinski here and welcome to another We Talk, and I am again joined by the wordy one that is Weeds.
Well, you keep inviting me back, so you can't be sick of me yet.
No, not just yet. Nearly, but not just yet.
Getting there.
How are you today? Alright?
Well, I'm a lot healthier than I was the last two times we've done this. I have finally managed to shift a cold that I seem to have had since the beginning of time. So yeah, I'm feeling a lot better, mate. You?
Yeah, I'm good. I thought you was going to say self-inflicted illnesses, more like hangover types, but you know.
No, that was the last We Talk.
Okay. Today we're going to be covering a few subjects. Usually we pick three, but we're looking at Randy Orton and his championship reign because it hasn't really lived up to too much so far. It's been a bit
Hasn't
depressing.
set the world on fire, has he?
No. Well, it's just been a bit depressing. And then we're going to look at Antonio Cesaro and somehow WWE waking up and giving him the push that he deserves. And then last but not least, we will talk about still the talk of the town, CM Punk and his departure from the WWE. And in there somewhere, we'll feature a little bit about Elimination Chamber because it's coming up. It's right around the corner. So, let's kick things off with Randy Orton's championship reign. Good, bad, or ugly? What do you think?
I think for me, the one I always seem to compare this to is Jericho, the first time he was the undisputed champion. And it feels like very much with Orton's reign that it's never really got going. The last few matches he's had, I mean, in the build-up to the Elimination Chamber, as you can see, the results don't seem to be going his way, do they? No,
he's like losing the majority, isn't he, at the moment?
Well, yeah, he's had more successful title defences. Obviously, title's not on the line at the moment.
It seems to tie in a little bit though with his actual overall title reign in general. It hasn't exactly been very positive. He's been buried 90% of the time by the Authority, Triple H. Everything's been pretty demeaning in terms of Orton. So he hasn't really had a lot to smile about or a lot to celebrate since he's become the undisputed World Heavyweight Champion.
No, he's just holding it for Triple H, really, isn't he?
Yeah. Well, his best buddy Batista, so...
Well, yeah. Well, until WrestleMania, anyway.
Or maybe not. Maybe plans will change after...
you think the WWE going to throw a swerve on us?
Well, I was going to say possibly, but then I'd say...
We'd have to go back about 15 years, mate.
Yeah, I don't know. If it's the most predictable WrestleMania of all time and the main event is Randy Orton versus Batista, I might be left scratching my head, but I'm hoping Elimination Chamber will bring up some sort of curveball, so to speak. Yeah, it's because to be honest, I like Randy Orton. And I
was going to say, I'm a fan of the guy. I like what he does. I think he's good in the rings, good on the mic. I don't know. Well, I mean, other than the Authority seem to be undermining them where they can't really make up their minds. I don't know if that's part of the storyline or if they're just treading water still. It's like you said, it just feels like it's never got going, has it?
No, I've always thought that this whole thing with like burying Orton was going to come to a head where someone else was actually the face of the WWE, their chosen one, and at some point Orton was going to get stitched up and screwed over. But ultimately, if they do that, Orton's got to turn face, and Orton is a terrible face. He's just not built for that. Just as I say with Batista, he's not built for that either. But
I was going to go slightly off on a tangent, but Batista, I mean, are you buying that with the completely shoved down our throat? He's going to be a face at the moment, or not really?
No.
He can't do it, can he?
He can't do it. At the end of the Royal Rumble, he was giving people yes signs with his middle fingers up to the crowd, off the cameras. He stuck it to the fans who he's supposed to be playing a face to. So, come on.
Poor old Bautista doesn't quite get it, doesn't it?
No, poor old Dave.
The animal.
Yeah, he is. It's just ridiculous. I always think if you've got a wrestler, a superstar, you've got to stick to their strengths, play to their strengths. There's only a couple or a few, selected few, that have ever been able to pull off, both very easily. And, it's the likes of The Rock, Hulk Hogan, Steve Austin have all managed to do that properly. And then there's some, who just don't stick to the rules, and behind the scenes, that they can be a jackass. And it's those guys like Batista and Orton who should just stay as heels.
It's what they're best at. Well, they always say that these the characters or the personas that these wrestlers become are always that wrestler with the volume a little bit turned up, and I suppose that would maybe from what comes across the internet and the dirt sheets, etc., is that Orton is a bit of a pain in the arse at times, isn't he?
Yeah, I heard he got Mr. Anderson fired, so.
Well, yeah, you've got to watch where you touch Randy, haven't you?
Don't want to spread those sort of rumours.
Of course not.
Ultimately, do you think he's going to win and walk out champion at Elimination Chamber?
Well, considering the results have not gone his way with Bryan and Cena earlier on this week, obviously he got the win over I think it was over Christian. He's not on a good record, so I fully expect him to come out as champion at the end of Elimination Chamber.
That's how it works, isn't it?
That's how it works.
Yeah,
get it on your free air TV, and then they screw you over on the pay-per-view, as they seem to do recently.
Yeah,
I'm being controversial today, Delzinski. I'm being controversial.
I know. You're not sitting on the fence. This is amazing stuff. This isn't the Cena approach to things.
Well, this is you take beer away from me, and this is what happens.
I think he's going to walk out champion. I don't think WWE will throw any major curveballs at Elimination Chamber just because of the timing and building to WrestleMania. It's not WWE to do that. So
I think.
Yeah.
Sorry, I think we were talking before, and I think I said to you, I don't think this Elimination Chamber pay-per-view sits quite right in the WWE calendar, in the sense that, yeah, you all feel like they're trying to get their ducks all lined up for WrestleMania, and you feel like even though you've got 6 men potentially in this match, you don't feel like something major is going to happen, because Batista's in that main event. He's going to be basically treading water with Del Rio until that event happens, and you kind of are expecting at that point that that's where Orton's going to drop the belt. So for me, for WWE to do something different, it would have to be outside of what I've just described.
Yeah, the strongest storyline going into WrestleMania has got to be a feud between Orton and Batista, which they've already builded to, because, well, unless it's Cena, because obviously, well, it's not going to be Cena, is it? Because he's up with Bray Wyatt. So, he's already hinted that he's after Orton's belt, and there's never been a single hint or a drop that we're going to find out that it's going to be Bryan in the main event, or even like now we're looking at Cesaro. Christian's not going to be the world champion. No.
I mean, even with Cena as well, the way they built that, this was basically, what did they call it, like an end of era match? Or I can't remember what they called it exactly.
Match, more like.
Well, yes, of course he won. I know you're such a fan. But yeah, they built it up. There's like this was like the one that would decide it this week on Raw, and obviously Cena got the win. So you kind of you know already that Cena's not coming out with that belt, pretty much, don't you? Yeah. But it's very interesting to see what they've done. Obviously, I don't know about you, but I wasn't expecting Christian in the Elimination Chamber, obviously coming back from the injury, and I definitely wasn't expecting Antonio, or shall we just call him Cesaro, as WWE seem to be calling him now in that chamber match either. I mean, what do you think about that?
Yeah, there's loads of reports today that Cesaro's dropped his Antonio. He's just going to be known as Cesaro moving forward, and I mean,
it's a difficult name. It's a difficult.
Yeah, but this is the same. This is just the ridiculousness sometimes of WWE, where they just do something so stupid. I mean, does it matter? Like, it's the same with Daniel Bryan. Adjusted his name, and here we go, Antonio Cesaro. oh, let's drop the Antonio part now. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't add anything to the character. It doesn't add anything to the gimmick. Just because he's getting a push now, why have you suddenly decided you've got to adjust his name as well? Because it's all been changed on WWE.com. He is now referred to as Cesaro.
It's great, isn't it? It's the I think they call it the rule of thumb, otherwise known as Vince knows best, isn't it? And just speaking
Batista,
about
great example. Batista, Dave Batista. It was Dave Batista. Now it's just Batista.
Well, I don't know if Dave's going to cut it, really, is it?
I like Dave. Good old Dave.
Dave the Animal Batista.
I was happy with that before. I still call him Dave now.
Good old Dave.
Good old Dave, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd love him to see him main event and come out as Dave doing his machine guns.
I want him to announce him as Dave when he comes out at WrestleMania. Fireworks and everything.
If they do that, you've got a Batista fan here for life.
I'll mark out big time. Yeah.
Well, not as much as Triple H, obviously.
No, not as much as Triple H. No one can mark out as much as Triple H. But Cesaro is getting a push, and that is the good thing. Do you know, I would love them to throw some sort of curveball with Cesaro. I don't really know how far it's going to go with Cesaro in the chamber. Is he going to make it, to the final two? I think Daniel Bryan's got to be in the final two. Maybe the final three for Cesaro, but I'm ultimately hoping that John Cena gets eliminated first. So
that's what I think it will probably be final three. I mean, if they are really going to push him, I'd say final two. But yeah, I would imagine it's going to be the final three. I mean, it's just like you were saying, it's typical of WWE. They see something that's going well for one of their superstars. Obviously, they're heavily invested in them, so I'm assuming they can change what they like about that character and their name, because they do more often than not. But I mean, I think it was Cena who, I think he put him over on part of the European tour back in 2013, late 2013. Yeah. And since then, he seems to have got this little bit of a promotion in the company. I mean, anyone, I don't know about you, Delzinski, but anyone who can get over with a giant swing, I'm buying a ticket.
I don't know. They have to gain some credibility back on Cesaro because he's a good wrestler, and he did have a good gimmick, like they all do when they first come into the WWE. I like him being paired up with Jack Swagger. I like him being with Zeb Coulter. Do not take Zeb Coulter away from him. He is the bollocks in terms of wrestling. He's a great manager. He's like one of the old school, back to the old days. And you said it before, where you look at The Undertaker and how long he was with Paul Bearer for. That's what I'd like them to do with Cesaro. Keep Coulter with him for a long period of time. Build him up. And, ultimately these two could be a good pair for a long, long time. But it all depends on what they do with him here and now. Because, as I said, he has lost credibility. Some of the things like the gimmick, the swing, you don't think of Cesaro as, world championship material because he's using that gimmick stuff to get himself over. He should be able to just work off his in-ring ability and his mic skills.
Yeah, I was going to say that people's elbow came out of nowhere, did it?
Oh, yeah.
But no, I get completely what you're saying. And I too would like to see him with Zeb for a little bit longer. So I think WrestleMania, what do you see him doing? Is he going to be against Swagger, or I see him in a tag team match? To be honest, with the real Americans, maybe the dissension. Well, there's no dissension there at the moment, but maybe building towards something like that. Well, how they keep hinting with Cody Rhodes and Goldust, and I kind of see something like happening at WrestleMania. Maybe the real Americans, the Rhodes brothers, the old age Outlaws. I'm not calling them new anymore. And maybe the Usos in some kind of fatal 4-way tag or something like that.
Yeah, that could definitely work. My only issue is that I want the Usos to win the tag belts at WrestleMania, and I want them to beat the old age Outlaws. So really, for me, if I was going to stick Cesaro in something, I'd stick him against Biggie Langston for the Intercontinental Championship, and maybe have him go over. Well, probably won't happen because they invest in a lot in Biggie, but that's what I'd like to see. Or he's not going to be able to get the United States Championship anytime soon, but if he can get hold of that, then him and Biggie can unify those belts and make the one championship. I
would say, being fair to Dean Ambrose, our US champion, he'd have to defend it at some point, wouldn't he? So
I think he's forgot he's got it.
I think WWE have forgot he's got it.
Yeah.
But no, there's definitely something going on. You've got Cesaro. Obviously, it's still undecided what Reigns is going to be doing. I'm assuming we're going to get a clearer picture after the Elimination Chamber and that Shield Wyatt's match. But yeah, I mean, I don't know about you, but I thought back in late December, early January, the WrestleMania card was going to be quite a straightforward one. And I mean, Mr. Punk with his potential walking out, potential work, maybe storylines, has thrown a lot of spanners into the works and opened up a lot of potential other matches happening, hasn't he?
Yeah, but bar the main event, which obviously is starring Batista, I don't think anybody can really. You can't really call what the card's going to be at the moment. I mean, you don't know if the tag titles are in there. You don't know if the Intercontinental title isn't really got a feud. The Undertaker's still got a slot free. And then there was Punk, who obviously was sounding like he was going to go up against Triple H. And he wasn't too happy about facing God, really, to be honest. And decided not to go against the game and get schooled, because he probably would have.
I'm assuming he was told maybe prior then that this would be going the same way as their SummerSlam match from a couple of years back. I assume Triple H was going over.
Yeah, you're fighting the God. You're fighting the King of Kings. You're fighting the game. There's no way that Punk was probably going to go over. I can't see it.
I don't know. I think obviously he had the title taken off him by The Rock. What was that? Just over a year ago, and he's been trading. That
sucked, by the way. That totally sucked. That Cena was allowed to kick out of multiple rock bottoms. Cena was allowed to kick out of people's elbows. Cena was able to kick out of everything that The Rock throws at him. But Punk jobs to one people's elbow, and I'm pretty sure I'm right on that. Yeah,
it's just your hatred of Cena. You got to remember, he's a Superman. Very foreboding silence there. But no, I know exactly what you mean about with that, especially after the, what was it, 434 days to lose it in that kind of fashion, and then go on to Super Cena at WrestleMania was a bit of a letdown, I would imagine, for the best in the world. But yeah, I think since then he's kind of been treading water, hasn't he? He's kind of brought some of the other guys along him through with the Shield earlier on in the year, and he's been paired up with Bryan on a lot of the tour they were doing in Europe, and that's kind of what. And obviously he's had the big feud with Paul Heyman, which I'm sure he probably got a lot of satisfaction out of doing. But for me, CM Punk, whether he's fit or not, should probably be in that title picture. And I think, as we said in the first We Talk we did, to see these guys coming back on a part-time schedule is probably a bit of a slap in the face to him. I'm still not ultimately sure if it is a work, and we are going to get Punk coming back at some point. I suppose there's a lot happening now between now and WrestleMania. Obviously, there's a lot of things already being advertised, which I won't go into too many details. I don't want to ruin anything for anyone who's going to be watching Raw and SmackDown coming up. But I would imagine it's that first Raw in March where we're going to know if Punk's coming back before WrestleMania, isn't it? It's the one in Chicago.
That's a big Raw, and if he isn't in Chicago, I don't care who you are, that whole crowd will be chanting CM Punk all night long.
I think you probably have to restrain most of them if he's not there.
Yeah, God knows, trying to take the signs off those fans. What you say is 100% right. I do think he should have been in the world title picture. I think it's a bit of a slap in the face to put him against Triple H, and I don't know whether that's WWE sort of trying to, Punk's always been outspoken, always speaks his mind. Ultimately, though, I do think after a lot of this that Punk is in it for himself. I know he does publicise, the Bryans and the Cesaros, and I do think he cares, but this is about Punk. This isn't about them. This isn't about him walking away because of their situation. It's about his situation and how he felt he was mistreated by the WWE. And a good fact, what you've just said there, The only thing you should think about, on the other hand, is that WWE did give him a 400-plus day reign as champion. Now, that says a lot of what they think about CM Punk, and CM Punk has walked away, took his ball and gone home. Does he give them the gratitude back, although he's not main evented at WrestleMania?
I think he's personally gone a little bit too early. I think he's played the network card, if he has legitimately gone. I think he knows he holds quite a lot of sway in the WWE.
He definitely does.
And this was, I would imagine, his way of sticking one finger up to Triple H and maybe Vince on this occasion, if he has truly gone. I think personally he would have gone over at WrestleMania. I think it would have been built well if he was going to go against Triple H. It would have been one of the big three storylines probably they like to do into each WrestleMania, and I think he would have been straight back in as that title contender, probably, if not the pay-per-view after. If it was going to be Batista, I would imagine he would have been back in that frame quite soon. That's just how I kind of see it going. I don't know. Do you think that could have been a possibility, or do you think he went too early? Or grabbed his ball and just went home?
Yeah, I do think he I think he's got the right reasons to walk away, because everybody, looking at the product, thinks that Punk, Bryan, Cesaro and co should be at the top of the company. And a way that Punk's looking at it is, look, WrestleMania's come around and I'm still not in that position. I've been taken out of it. And, my title reign, which I had previously, didn't get me a main event at WrestleMania. Maybe this year I will get the main event at WrestleMania, and once again it's been let down. So I can totally understand why he's walked away, but I do think, I think he may have walked away a little bit too soon. But, he's still playing the cards here. There's still negotiations ongoing, and ultimately, I'm going to say it could still be a work.
I still think it's a work. So I'm fully expecting to see him at WrestleMania, but I don't know in what capacity.
If he rocks up at that Chicago show, everyone will be like, "What the fuck?" So
he will blow the roof off.
Exactly. So that could come, but only time will tell.
But I know. Just I suppose, winding up really. I know you and I are both very ardent. We like to see good wrestling, and that's kind of what's kept me involved. And that's why I like TNA, because they've got some good wrestlers in Aries and people like that, and it's good wrestling that brings me back. And I still maintain with Punk, you've got one of the few genuine superstars, and even better than a Bryan in this kind of case. The guy is superb in the ring. He can tell a great story. He's fantastic on the mic, and he actually really believes in what he's doing and the storyline or whatever he's trying to do. And for that is why they need someone like that in, because you get bits and pieces with the others. You get solid wrestler, great wrestler with Daniel Bryan, kind of good mic skills, could still be doing stuff with that. Again, you've got other people like Batista, absolutely phenomenal look, but maybe not the best on the mic. Again, that's what you get with a CM Punk. You are getting the full package. And since those wrestlers, I arguably say, don't exist as much as they did 10, 20 years ago, with the likes of your Triple H's, The Rock, your Stone Colds, and I think that's what ultimately the WWE are going to miss if he doesn't come back.
Yeah, I think it's spot on in everything, storytelling, work ethic inside the ring. He will be missed if he's not coming back. He will be missed. He's like this may be a bit of a rubbish comparison, but he's like the AJ Styles walking away from TNA. Heart and soul sometimes. The drive. And
I think that's probably another thing with Punk is that I would imagine, he hasn't always got his way, and he had to fight and claw to get with that whole pipe bomb thing 2-3 years ago to make sure that he got across, and he nearly didn't. He nearly was gone, and I suppose that's what we've got to remember. So he fiercely believes in what he's done. By all accounts, he's made his money, he's saved his money. And, if it's not in his vision, he's always said, I think he said on his Best in the World DVD, I'm a stubborn bastard. If I don't get my way, I'm not going to do it. And I really just hope, because I don't want this to be the end of him. I hope he does come back and we do see him sometime in the future.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. We could talk about Punk for hours, I reckon.
I could.
Yeah, but I think we're going to be talking about more about CM Punk in the future on We Talk episodes. It's bound to happen. So I think for today, we're going to wrap it up. So all that's really left to be said is, guys, we are going to try and do something every Wednesday, and then have that'll be in terms of 3 topics which we think are going on inside the wrestling world, and then we'll have some more fun stuff on every Sunday, which will sort of be a bit more random than the Wednesday talk. So that's the way it's going to play out. Hopefully, all things going well. But yeah, that is the end of another We Talk. So, Weeds, do you want to sign off and say goodbye?
Till next time, guys. And as Delzinski said, just hit us up in the comments. And anything you want us to discuss as well, we'll be more than happy to.
Yeah. Make sure you let us know all your views in the comments box regarding Orton, the Elimination Chamber, Cesaro, and CM Punk. So, until next time, all that's left to be said is please rate, comment, and subscribe. And this is Delzinski and Weeds signing out.